Forza Horizon 5 will hopefully be released within the next few years, but the question remains, where will the fifth entry be set? In this video I'm going to detail many possible locations and determine which would be the perfect fit for Horizon's next festival. Before we start, however, we need to discuss what exactly makes a great Horizon map. I've separated these into 5 categories, and will eventually try and pick a location that performs well in all areas. Our first category is driving roads. How enjoyable is it to drive around this country? And are there any roads in particular that could feature in the game? Next is car culture. Effectively, this is how much the country is interested in cars, and this would tie in with the car selection in game. Then we have scenery. How scenic is the environment? Is it picturesque? After that we have geographic diversity. So scenery is important, but how much variety does the landscape have? Examples might be different levels of terrain, varied climates, and a balance between rural and urban areas. And finally we have originality, which basically means we ideally don't want to head back to the United States of America, France, Italy, Australia, or the United Kingdom because, well, we've been there before. This is also impacted by how similar a country may be to those aforementioned countries. Example, my native country Ireland is quite geographically similar to the United Kingdom. Therefore, in that regard, it wouldn't be that interesting to locate the festival there. With all of that out of the way, let's start with our first category, driving roads. Arguably every country with access to tarmac has some set of roads that would be ideal for a Horizon game, so narrowing this down has been quite tough. Nonetheless, here are some of the best driving roads in the world and their locations. The Atlantic Road in Norway, Ring Road in Iceland, Valley of Fire Road in the United States of America, Trolls Way in Norway, the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and finally Transfagarasan in Romania. Other countries that contain amazing roads include Morocco, India, Argentina, and South Africa. Ignoring the American and Italian roads, which we've mostly been to, all other roads mentioned are located in Scandinavia, excluding the road I can't pronounce in Romania. Horizon touched off this region with its Fortune Island expansion, including a winding, twisting hill climb, which fans of drifting fell in love with. Our next category is car culture. Effectively, any country with the resources and dedication to manufacture its own cars performs well here. The United States of America, most of Europe, Japan, Brazil, Australia, and the United Kingdom all have excellent car culture with their own identity. Excluding countries we've been to, the standouts here are Germany and Japan, who both boast a rich amount and variety of manufacturers. Moving on now to scenery. This is kind of subjective, but here are 20 of the most scenic countries in the world, in no particular order. Argentina, Spain, Australia, Chile, Brazil, the United States of America, Indonesia, New Zealand, France, Nepal, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, South Africa, Iceland, Japan, Italy, Greece, India, Canada, and lastly, Norway. In my opinion here, the best option is Italy. The Amalfi Coast is just something else, but unfortunately we've already been here. Otherwise, all aforementioned countries score pretty well here, so I don't think visually anyone would complain if we visited any of these locations. Let's talk about geographic diversity. I'm going to use the 20 most scenic countries as our examples, but I also want to mention China, Mexico, Cyprus, Russia, and Peru, which are all very geographically diverse. Nonetheless, the other geographically diverse countries include Argentina, Brazil, the United States of America, Switzerland, Iceland, India, and Canada. As ever, the best option here is the United States of America, but of course we've already visited that region. Otherwise, I personally think Canada is a good option here. You could really go to town by including glaciers, tundras and frozen lakes, which would feel completely different in spring or summertime. Finally, let's look at originality. This category favours any country which is located in South America, Asia or Africa, as the Horizon Festival has never visited any of these continents before. Oceania is only on the table if it's New Zealand. Europe is still possible, although we've been there twice. And lastly, I understand that the United States of America is so gigantic and diverse that locating the festival on, say, the East Coast would feel completely new and fresh, but I just think it'd be nice if we mixed it up a little bit. Plus, other games like The Crew and Grand Theft Auto love to cover the USA. Now that we've looked at all the categories, I'm going to briefly discuss 5 honourable mentions before we reveal what in my opinion is the ideal location for Forza Horizon 5. First up is Sweden. Sweden scores well in scenery, driving roads and even car culture, with manufacturers such as Koenigsegg and Saab. Its geographic diversity is okay, but the real problem here is originality, as it's located in Europe and has similar landscape to Fortune Island. Next up is Brazil. Brazil scores well in scenery, geographic diversity and originality. Unfortunately, its car culture isn't the best, though I do recognise the passion for cars and Formula 1 drivers like Ayrton Senna and Nelson Piquet. The real problem is that there aren't any notable driving roads, especially when most of the country is covered by a rainforest. Canada is next. With fantastic scenery, originality and geographic diversity, Canada would certainly be a fresh experience for Horizon. It has decent driving roads, however the real problem here is car culture, which is poor compared to other countries. I'm going to mention a country, but more specifically a city, that performs well in most categories, that hasn't actually been mentioned yet, and that is Dubai. With excellent, albeit man-made scenery, a rich car culture, and great originality, Dubai ticks a lot of boxes. Whilst it doesn't have the best driving roads, the surrounding deserts and tight city streets would certainly make for a fun combination. However, it suffers greatly from geographic diversity. I don't think any of us would enjoy looking at sand for that long. Lastly, we have Iceland. This is quite similar to Sweden, except it has a poor car culture and arguably better scenery and geographic diversity. However, the country that in my opinion has great driving roads, iconic car culture, sensational scenery, decent geographic diversity, and brilliant originality is Japan. This was rumoured to be the location for Forza Horizon 4, so in my opinion it's only inevitable that this is the location for our next title. Just think of the drifting roads that could be utilised here. I can't think of a better location for a next generation Horizon game. Though admittedly, Forza would have to ensure that they obtain licenses for all of the major Japanese manufacturers in order to justify placing the festival here. Nonetheless, I think Japan pretty much nails every category and would definitely be a fan favourite.